Good morning, everyone. Last session, we discussed about that assignment, right? Assignment checking.
Yes, sir.
Good. And 28th and 29th classes did not happen. Classes did not happen. Shared two videos to complete. Shared two videos to complete. So all of you got the mail. Which two videos you need to complete?
Yes.
Yeah. As yesterday night also, I have sent you a mail. Which videos that you need to complete. So all
Yes,
of
sir.
you gone through those two videos.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, completed. So do you understand what is that and what is the purpose of that?
Hmm. Yep.
Right? Fine. So in those two videos, first video one that talks about best practices, best practices to follow in persistence layer development. In persistence layer development. All right. In the second video, I have explained. In the second video, I have explained database setup, database server and client setup. Okay. Now, guys, here we will be using multiple databases, but first I will start with Oracle database. I will develop applications and will communicate with Oracle database. So database server, we are using Oracle database, Oracle database server, Oracle database server, we are going for Oracle database client, we are using SQL developer. Database client, we are using SQL developer. Okay. So all of you downloaded SQL developer software. Even in the companies also, we are going to use the SQL developer as a client software to communicate with the database server. Guys, all of you done the SQL developer setup in your system, or you have not done that?
Yes, sir, done.
Yeah, people who has not completed that SQL developer setup, first of all, please download SQL developer. Please download SQL developer. 1 second. Do you have database server software? Oracle database server is there in all your systems or it is not there in your systems?
Sir, we are using MySQL, sir.
If you are using MySQL, no problem. No problem. Okay. So anybody don't have Oracle database? If you have MySQL, then MySQL Workbench you need to install. If you are using Oracle database, I want you people to install SQL developer. Okay. So download SQL developer. Download SQL developer for Windows. SQL developer downloads. SQL download SQL developer. SQL developer downloads. 32-bit includes JDK 1.6, Windows 64-bit. Yeah. Yeah, guys, access this link and download now. If anybody facing problem, let me know. You need to create account in order to do the download. So accept this agreement. Then click on download this zip file. It will ask you to sign in into Oracle website. If you already have the account, no problem. Otherwise, you have to create the account here. It is open. You no need to pay money to create the account. Guys, could you please do that now? Could you please do that now? Could you please create the account now? Could you please do this now? All of you download and let me know if you're not able to do it, because for going forward for our applications, I'm going to use Oracle database. For that, we need this SQL developer. For that, we need SQL developer. Okay. Let me know if you are able to download it. I gave the link in the chat box, guys. Please let me know once you complete that part. Link to download SQL developer. Link to download SQL developer. So in your system, both database, server software should be there and client software also should be there. Both server software should be there and client software also should be there. So in my system, database server is available as well as I'm having client, that is SQL developer. By using SQL developer, I can connect to my database and I can perform the operations. Good. Fine, guys. So before going to start our discussion related to data JPA, how many of you don't know Hibernate? How many of you don't know Hibernate?
I don't know.
One person.
Don't know.
I also
I don't
don't know.
I also don't know, sir.
We also don't know.
Don't know. I also don't know.
Null, sir.
Right. So there are almost 10 to 15 people. They are not
Don't
aware
know,
of
sir.
Hibernate. Okay, no issue. No
Don't
issue.
know, sir.
All right. Fine. So I will give you a little background about what is this ORM and why we are going to use this ORM to perform our operations. Got it? All right. I will give you a little background about. I will give you a little background about what is this ORM and why we are going to use this ORM. Okay. Sun Microsystem provided JDBC API to develop persistence layer. Sun Microsystem provided JDBC API to develop persistence layer. Sun Microsystem provided JDBC API to develop persistence layer. Okay. For JDBC API, several DB vendors provided implementation. For JDBC API, several database vendors provided implementation like Oracle, MySQL, DB2, SQL, MS SQL, etc. Okay. So Sun Microsystem provided one API called JDBC API, which is used to develop persistence layer. So only using API, we can't do the development. For the API, we need the implementation. For the API, we need the implementation. So that's why there are several database vendors available in the market. Those people provided the implementation for this JDBC API. Those people provided the implementation for this JDBC API. Now, so by using the API with the help of implementation, we are going to develop the logic. By using that logic, we are interacting with the database. By using that logic, we are interacting with the database. Okay. Now here after JDBC came into the market, right? People are happy for a few days. After that, they started complaining about the JDBC because in the JDBC, everything will be represented. In the JDBC, everything will be represented in the form of text. In the JDBC, data will be represented in the form of text. But we are Java developers. We are representing everything in the form of objects. We are representing everything in the form of objects. So I want to represent my data in the form of objects. I want to represent my data in the form of objects. Okay. Now, JDBC is supporting for representing the data in the form of objects, or JDBC is not supporting to represent the data in the form of objects. JDBC is not supporting to represent the data in the form of objects. JDBC will represent everything in the form of, JDBC represents everything in the form of text. People are looking to represent the data in the form of objects. People are looking to represent data in the form of objects. Then ORM principles came into market to represent data in the form of objects. ORM principles came into market to represent the data in the form of objects. ORM stands for object relational mapping. ORM principles came into the market to represent the data in the form of objects. ORM stands for object relational mapping. People are looking to represent data in the form of objects, whereas JDBC will not support for that. That's why people are looking for alternate to represent the data in the form of object. Okay. So ORM stands for object relational mapping, that is used to represent the data in the form of object. Hibernate implemented ORM principles. Hibernate framework came into the market by implementing ORM principles. Hibernate framework implemented ORM principles. Hibernate framework implemented ORM principles. Hence, it is called as ORM framework. Hibernate framework implemented ORM principles. Hence, it is called as ORM framework. It will represent the data in the form of objects. Okay. Now, so when it comes to the architecture diagram, here our Java application will be available. This Java application will represent the data in the form of object. Now here we are having ORM framework. There are several ORM frameworks are available in the market. One of the famous ORM framework is Hibernate. Okay. And here we are having our RDBMS, relational databases. One of the example is Oracle, RDBMS. Okay. RDBMS is available where we are going to store the data. Okay. Now Java application will communicate with the ORM framework. This ORM framework should communicate with the RDBMS and to store the data or to perform the operations. RDBMS will provide the data. ORM framework will provide the data to Java application. So this is how the communication is going to happen. This ORM framework, whatever the ORM framework that you use, internally that ORM framework is using JDBC API only. That is, ORM frameworks will internally use as JDB. ORM framework will use JDBC API in the background. Without JDBC API, ORM frameworks will not be available. Okay. ORM frameworks will communicate with this JDBC API to perform the operations. So ORM frameworks are developed on top of JDBC API. ORM frameworks are developed on top of JDBC API. Okay, we have a Java application. We have a Java application. The Java application will communicate with the ORM frameworks. We have a Java application. The Java application will communicate with the ORM frameworks. In the ORM framework, some logic is already available that is developed based on the JDBC API, and that ORM framework will communicate with the database. Right. Sir, we already know the JDBC API that is used to develop the persistence layer. On top of the JDBC API, ORM framework came into the picture. Then what is the difference? Okay. So if your Java application communicate with the JDBC API directly, if your Java application communicate with the JDBC API directly, JDBC API can communicate with the database directly. Okay, Java application can communicate with the JDBC API. JDBC API can communicate with the JDBC API can communicate with the database directly. JDBC API can communicate with the database directly. Got my point? Got my point? Okay, but what is the problem with the JDBC? JDBC will represent the data in the form of text, whereas ORM framework will represent the data in the form of objects. So for that, in the ORM, there is a concept called entity. There is a concept called entity, and another concept called mapping, and another concept called configuration. Entity, mapping, and configuration, these are the three pillars of the ORM framework. These are the three pillars of the ORM framework. Entity will be available, mapping will be available, and configuration will be available. These three are the pillars of any ORM framework. Without these three pillars, ORM frameworks are not going to work. Without these three pillars, ORM framework is not going to work. Okay, right. Now, so Java application will represent the data in the form of objects and will give the objects to ORM framework. Everything will be represented in the form of objects. But RDBMS will not support for the objects. So that's why RDBMS will expect data in the form of text. Okay, now, but what my Java application is giving, my Java application is representing everything in the form of object. But RDBMS can support for the object, or RDBMS will not support for the object. RDBMS will not support for the object. RDBMS will not support for the object. RDBMS will support for text data. Java application will support for objects of data. Java application will support for objects of data. Guys, look at this. Guys, anybody have questions here? Now you can speak out. So how Java application will represent the data? How Java application will represent the data?
In the form of object.
Java application will represent the data in the form of object. Can I store objects directly in the RDBMS, or I can't store the object directly in the RDBMS?
No, we can't.
We can't store.
We cannot store. RDBMS will expect the data in the form of text only, but Java application is giving the data in the form of objects. Okay, now Java is giving object to the ORM framework. ORM framework will convert the object to the text format, will give to the RDBMS. Okay, so the ORM framework will convert object to the text and text to the object. In order to do that, ORM framework needs 3 pillars. One is entity, second one is mapping, third one is configuration. Entity, mapping, and configuration. 3 things will be available here. Entity will be available, mapping will be available, and configuration also will be available here. Entity, mapping, and configuration. 3 things will be available here.
Hello.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Exact JDBC API. What is role, sir?
Java and database communication, sir. JDBC API will do Java and database communication. Yep. So please
Sir,
look at the diagram. Please look at the diagram. Yes.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, the question is, sir, when we have to use native SQL query and when we have to use Hibernate, sir?
I will come to that queries point, sir. I will come to that query.
Okay. Actually, in the projects, actually, I'm also working, guys, sir. Actually, we are writing both. That's why.
Yeah, I will come to that point. So what is native SQL? What is HQL? I will explain you that part.
Sure.
First, do you guys understand that ORM architecture now?
Yes, sir.
So in the ORM architecture, what are the 3 main pillars available?
Entity, mapping, and configuration.
Yes.
Sir, ORM also internally using JDBC only, or
Sorry?
ORM also internally?
Yep, internally they will use JDBC only, sir.
Okay.
Internally they will use JDBC only.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Is there any difference between JDBC API and Spring JDBC?
Is there any difference between?
JDBC and Spring JDBC.
Yes, sir, there is a difference. There is a difference.
And what is the difference?
In the JDBC, we have to write everything manually, whereas in the Spring JDBC, things are automated. Okay, template methods are provided in the Spring JDBC. You no need to open the connection. You no need to close the connection when you go for Spring JDBC. But when it comes to the plain JDBC, you have to take care of it.
And sir, there are multiple like Spring Data, Hibernate.
I am coming to that point only, sir. I have to explain that.
Okay. Okay.
Sir, but nowadays the ORM is outdated, no, sir?
ORM is not outdated. People still will use ORM, sir. You can't say that it is outdated.
Spring Data is mostly, sir, used.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yep.
Just a simple question. Can we learn only Spring Data instead of Hibernate?
But internally, it will also use the Hibernate only, sir. At least some basics of the Hibernate, if you have, then it would be easy to understand. So that's why I asked you, how many of you don't know Hibernate?
Actually, I'm also not aware of Hibernate.
No problem. So that's why I'm giving you the basic. What is Hibernate and all?
Sir, the mapping concept is related to the REST API, or it's ORM mapping?
Mapping is not related to only ORMs, or actually that mapping is a database concept. Relationships. If your tables are having the relation that we need to represent in the code.
Okay.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Right, guys. Any other questions, anyone from this diagram? Anybody having other questions from this diagram? Anybody having any other questions from this diagram?
Hi, sir.
Yep.
Sir, even though we are using ORM framework internally, when we are storing the data in the DB, it will store in the text format.
Yes, sir. But programmer no need to convert that into object to text and text to object. That will be taken care by ORM frameworks.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Sir, Hibernate is also using JDBC internally, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
So, sir, you mentioned JDBC API differently and ORM framework like in the different.
Yes, ORM framework is developed on top of the JDBC API. ORM framework is developed on top of the JDBC API, sir.
So it means each and every ORM uses JDBC API.
Yes, from Java related. Yes, Java related ORM frameworks like Hibernate, JPA, IBATIS. All Java related ORM frameworks will use background JDBC API.
Sir, anyway, it will
What
convert
we need to exactly learn,
internally.
like Hibernate only or like JDBC?
All the ORM frameworks will use JDBC API in the background.
And these ORM are only, work with SQL databases and not NoSQL, right?
Yes.
Sir,
This is
anyway,
about
internally it
SQL
will use.
database. If we are using NoSQL database, their JDBC is involved or not?
Guys, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes,
What are the three main pillars in the ORM now?
Entity mapping
Mapping and configuration.
Entity mapping.
configuration.
Entity mapping and configuration. Entity mapping and configuration. Okay. Now, so in ORM framework, you will see below three components. Right. So in the ORM framework, we will see below three components. One is entity. Second one is mapping, and third one is configuration. Okay. Entity is the Java class which is representing table structure. Entity is the Java class which represents database table structure. Okay. Mapping is used to map Java class with database table. Configuration represents configuration represents database connection details. Database connection details. Now look at these three. What are the three main pillars of the ORM framework? The three main pillars of the ORM frameworks. First one is entity. Second one is mapping. Third one is configuration. Okay. So first one, entity is the Java class which represents database table structure. Mapping is used to map Java class with database table. Configuration represents database connection details. Configuration represents database connection details. Okay, good. So guys, please read these three and let me know if you have any questions.
Yes, sir. I have. Am I? Hello.
Yes.
So if we use noise, ORM framework is not support or what?
Sorry.
If we use MongoDB or anything NoSQL database, ORM framework will support?
Yes, will support.
Huh, okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, a mapping is used to map Java class with database. Mapping is called actually connectivity, no sir?
Mapping means which class should map to which table. Okay.
Okay.
Which class should connect to which table. In that table, which column should be mapped to which variable, that will be available here.
I mean, sir, CURD operation in this table, which column, which row.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Got it.
Sir, we'll do this with annotation or XML?
Sorry?
Annotation. We will do this mapping entity configuration with annotation based or XML?
Annotation. So we have in the Hibernate we have both options, but nowadays people are not using XML. We are going for annotation based.
Sir, one doubt. Sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Sir, entity is like it's a project class, right? And what is the difference between that mapping? We are mapping that entity with the table name, sir.
Yes, that means we are going to tell which class should map to which table. I will write that part.
Sir, actually, I also have doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, mapping also represent association like 1 to 1, 1 to many, many to many.
That is different, sir. That is relationship mapping. Here, normal mapping. Yep. Let me come to that part. So first, remember, entity is a Java class which represents a database structure. Okay. So in our project, only one Java class will be available, or we will have multiple Java classes.
Multiple Java classes.
Multiple Java classes will be available. In the database, one table will be available, or multiple tables will be available.
Multiple tables will be available.
So, do we need to represent which class is mapping for which table or not?
Yes.
Yes. For that, we need to write some map. So that mapping, people will do either XML mapping, XML and annotations. By using XML also we can do that. By using annotations also we can do that mapping. But nowadays, XML mapping, people are not recommending. People are going for annotations only to map our Java class with the database table. Next one, configuration. What do you mean by configuration here? What do you mean by configuration here?
To represent the database connection details.
Right, that is used to represent the database connection details. That means what is the database URL, username, password, driver class. Those things we are going to represent as part of configuration. All right. Now, let me take one simple example. Let me take one simple example. So once this is explained, then you can ask your questions. Okay. Guys, see here, I have one table in the database with a name called product details. I have a table in the database with a name called product details. In that table, I have 3 columns. In that table, I have 3 columns. One is product ID, that is primary key, okay, and product name and product price. So 3 columns are available in my table. One of the column is represented as a primary key. One of the column is represented as a primary key. Good. Now, in order to store this data, we need to execute one insert query. But actually, the JDBC will write that query manually. But when it comes to the ORM, I will give an object to the ORM. That object should be inserted as a record in the database table in the text format. So ORM should convert my object into text format. Okay. Now, so I need one Java class which will represent this table structure. I need one Java class which will represent this table structure. That's why I'm going to create one class, public class product. Public class product. Inside this class, I will write private integer product ID, private string product name, and private double price. Okay. Product ID I am writing, product name I am writing, and product price I am writing. For this, I'm giving a annotation called @entity. I'm giving one annotation called @entity. What is the purpose of @entity? @entity represent that class as a entity class. @entity will represent that class as a @entity class. Okay. Now, after that, I will write one annotation @table. Table, what is the name of the table to which you need to map? Table name is equal to product underscore details. That is the table name with which I want to map my Java class. Okay. For these variables, I need setters, getters. For that, I'm writing @data annotation. I'm writing @data annotation. Now, product ID. Product ID should map with some column in the table, right? With which column it has to map? For that, we are going to write @column name is equal to column name is the PID. Column name is the PID. It should map with a column. That column name I am giving as PID. Okay. And that PID is not a normal column. That PID is a primary key. For that, we are going to give @ID annotation. Okay. Next, we should go for P name. For the P name, we should go for @column. The name is equal to P name we are going to provide. The name column is equal to P name we are going to provide. Column is equal to P name we are going to provide. Next one, price. So for that, we are going to write column name is equal to price. Column name is equal to price. Now, for that, we are going to specify the price column. Okay. This is my entity class, which is mapped with database table, guys. Okay. Now this class can be called as a entity. Now this class can be called as a entity. How we are mapping our Java class with the database table? Class name will be mapped with the database table name. Variable names will be mapped with the column names in the database. With the column names in the database. This is called entity mapping. This is called as entity mapping. Now, my class name, that is product, is mapped with that table name. Product, that is a class name which is mapped with table name, which is called product underscore details. Product underscore details. This variable name is mapped with one column in the table, that is primary column. This variable is mapped with one more column, that is P name, which is not a primary key, a normal column. Normal column. We are having a price. The price is mapped with one more column, which is price. Which is price here. Okay. So this is how ORM mapping will happen. Now, product is a Java class which is mapped with a database table. Any Java class which is a mapping with the database table, is called as entity class. Any Java class which is mapped with the database table is called as entity class. Guys, look at the annotations that I have used. Look at the annotations that I have used.
Sir, why do we need @data here?
Setters, getters for the variables, guys. That is Lombok, Project Lombok. How many of you don't know Project Lombok?
Don't know.
Don't know, sir.
Yeah, sir. I think it should be available in our
Don't know,
JPA
sir.
videos.
Don't know.
हाँ, ठीक है, फिर आज आप लोग को assignment मिल गया. Guys, Project Lombok we are going to use. Okay. Here, if you see in my channel, I have explained Project Lombok. 5 videos are there. 10-15 minutes videos will be available, guys. I think almost 1 hour discussion I have done. 1 hour discussion I have done on the Project Lombok. Okay. So today, just 9 minutes, 8 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes videos are there. Today, I want you people to complete this Project Lombok, guys, because whenever you are going for Java, that you need to write normal setters and getter methods, right? Instead of writing that setters and getters, we can use Project Lombok.
Sir, hello.
Hello.
Hi, sir. Can we map two classes to same table, one table?
No, sir. One class will map to one table.
Sir, can you share the video in
No.
chat box?
Sorry?
Sir, can you share the video in chat box?
Yeah, you can go to that, sir. You can go to my YouTube channel now.
Okay.
First of all of you, subscribe to our channel. Just open YouTube. Guys, in your system or mobile, open YouTube. Type Ashok IT, you will get our channel. Please subscribe.
Sir, I developed one
subscribe.
program.
Sorry?
Sir, developed one program using JDBC. So I don't know exact logic, but there is some problem. So can you see?
Sure. We'll do that, sir. No problem. We'll do that. First of all, today, because application development will take some more time, sir. First, we need to understand what is that Spring Data JPA, why it is how it is different from the other persistence technologies. Another 1 or 2 days of time that we are going to spend before going to start our example. Before that, I want you people to learn the Project Lombok. Okay.
Sir, one question. Actually, today I joined newly. So, is there any possible to catch up the previous sessions and all?
Sure, sir. Send me a WhatsApp message to this number, man. Today I will get in touch with you.
Okay.
In my website, you can see ashokit.in. This is my WhatsApp number. Send a message to that so that we can connect.
Okay, sure.
We can discuss about that.
Sir, I have an issue. When we are creating the project that time, it throwing an error and it say that could not find the main method. Why?
We'll check it, madam. Keep your workspace ready. We'll check it.
Sir, every time when we want to connect our application to the database through STS or Eclipse, sir, I just want to know that have you create any video to make us understanding for that?
Sir, same thing we'll develop. We'll learn that in the classroom, right? The data JPA we are going to learn. In that, I will tell you how Java application will communicate with the database.
And sir, what the configuration, how the configuration?
Everything is part of our class. I will explain everything.
And sir, what is better to learn, like MySQL or like SQL, like Oracle or SQL database?
Both are same, sir. Here I will use bracket MySQL. I will use PostgreSQL. I will use H2 database. Several database I will cover. You don't need to worry about it.
Sir, I have one question. The model class, entity class, and POJO, these 3 classes are same or different?
Different, sir. Actually, here, if I don't have these annotations like entity, data, column, ID, then it can be called as a POJO. But here, as I have those annotations, I should call this class as an entity because this is a special class which is representing the table structure in the database. It is a special. It is a special.
This is, sir, one doubt, sir, here only. So that is, so in project we maintain entity class different project class.
Yes, entity classes we have to maintain if you are using ORM framework.
Sir, actually we are create the project class to fetch the data from the UI like that, right?
That is data binding object, sir. In the MVC, I will cover that part. Guys, this is too early to conclude everything because we just entered into persistent layer development. Today, I just introduced what is entity. So for time being, you just concentrate on the entity. So at the end of the session, I'm going to compare what is entity, what is POJO, what is model, what is Java Bean. I will cover that part. How to do the configuration, how to connect Java application to the database, how to perform the operations. Asking questions about those concepts is too early because I haven't started explaining about that.
Okay.
Just I explain entity now, mapping. Then I will tell you configuration. Then I will develop one application. Then I will show you how to connect to one database. Then I will show you how to connect to another database. Right? So those things will be covered as part of our data JPA. So today is not the last day. Today is just the first day. Okay. So you have to wait for that.
Hello,
So,
sir.
Yep.
Sir, do we need to learn JDBC?
Yeah, without JDBC, you can't understand this, man. I told you in the prerequisite. JDBC is the prerequisite for this course.
Okay.
Sir, in entity class, n number of fields are there. So every time we have to map with @column name is equal to that table.
Yeah, yes, sir. At the right column you will specify, but there is some concept is there. If your column name and variable names are same, you don't need to write at the right column. That I will come to that part. I will come to that part. Once the first application is completed, I can explain you the internals of it. Okay. For time being, if anybody asks you to write the entity class, for time being, if anybody asks you how to write the entity class, this is how you will write it. So what is entity class? The Java class, which is mapped with the database table, is called as entity class. How to make one Java class as an entity class? By using @entity annotation. Okay. @entity annotation is the mandatory annotation. @entity annotation is the mandatory annotation to represent our Java class as an entity class. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of @table? What is the purpose of @table annotation, guys?
To represent
with the
database
Table name and the class.
Our Java class name with the database table name, we will write @table annotation. To map our Java class name with the database table name, we will write @table annotation. Okay. But here, you people need to remember one thing. Writing @entity is mandatory, but writing @table is optional. Writing @entity is mandatory. Writing @table is optional. If you don't write @table annotation, Java class name will be considered as the database table name.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you don't write @table, it will consider Java class name as the database table name. Guys, check here. In this scenario, my class name and table name both are same or both are different in this diagram?
Both are different.
Both
are different. So that's the reason I have given @table annotation. Okay, fine. Next one. Once your class is mapped to the table, we can need to map variables to the columns in the table. Okay, so how I am mapping my variable to the column? How I am mapping my variable to the column?
By using @column annotation.
Column annotation.
By using @column annotation. @column annotation is also optional. If your variable name and column name is same, then you no need to write @column annotation. If your variable name and column name is same, then you no need to write @column annotation. If your variable name and column names are different, then you will write @column to specify which variable is mapped to which column in the table. Okay, next.
So, but
@ID. What is the purpose of @ID?
Will make a primary
represent
key.
it as a primary key.
It is represent which variable is mapped to primary key column. So it represents this variable is mapped to primary key column. Okay. So total 4 annotations are there from the ORM: at entity, at table, at column, at ID. By using these annotations, we are mapping our Java class to database table. Okay. Now here we have at data annotation. We have at data annotation. What is the purpose of at the rate data?
To provide getter, setter, or
For variables, we need to generate the setters and getters. Instead of we are writing the setters and getters every time, we will use project Lombok for our Pojo or for our entity, so that at the rate data will generate setters and getters for our variables, and it will add constructor for our class. Okay, so people who knows Lombok, no issue. The people who don't know the Lombok, please watch those videos available in our Ashok IT YouTube channel. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Whenever you have your free time, you just go to our YouTube channel, find the videos which are useful for you and complete them. All the videos which I have uploaded are very, very important for you people. Okay. So many videos are there. Log4j videos are there. Jenkins videos are there. JUnit videos are there. Ajax videos are there. Exception handling is there. Double posting is there. Project Lombok. Interview questions are available. Okay. Whenever you are free, you go through our YouTube channel, find the videos and complete them. Find them and complete them. Okay. Good. Good. Now, yeah. So here we understood what is Lombok. We are going to understand what is Lombok in the coming classes, right? I want you to complete those videos. Now, here we have seen what is entity, what is table, what is column, what is ID. So by using these annotations, we are going to map our Java class to the database table. Okay. Now, configuration represents database connection details. Entity is the Java class which represents table structure. Mapping is used to map Java class with the database table. We can do the mapping in two ways. We can do the mapping. We can do the mapping in two ways. In two ways. One is XML approach, and the second one is annotation approach. One is XML approach. Second one is annotation approach. Configuration represents database connection details like driver class, URL, username. Driver class, DB, username, DB, password, DB, URL. Driver class, URL, username, and password. Now, here this XML approach is outdated, and we are going to use this annotation approach. We are going to use this annotation approach. Look at these three. Entity is the Java class which represents database table structure. Mapping is used to map Java class with database table. We can do the mapping in below two ways. One is XML approach. Second one is annotation approach. XML approach is almost outdated in the market. People are not using. Nowadays, people are using only annotation approach. Annotation approach. Okay, to map the Java class to the table. We will use below annotations to map our class to database table. We will use below annotations to map our Java class to DB table. What are those? First one is entity. Second one is @table. Third one is @column. Fourth one is @ID. Entity, table, column, and ID. So those annotations we are going to use. Represents entity class. Represents entity class. Map class name with table name. Map class name with table name. Mapping our class name with the table name. Map variable name with the column name. Map variable with column name. Represents primary key mapped variable. Represents primary key column mapped variable. It is going to represent primary key column mapped variable. Okay, good. XML approach and annotation approach. We will use these below two annotations: entity annotation, table annotation, column annotation, ID annotation. Configuration represents database connection details. One is driver class. Second one is database username, database password, and database URL. Okay, good. Good. Configuration means database connection properties we are going to write, like what is the URL, what is the driver class, what is the username, those things we are going to configure. Once we develop one application, you will get the full clarity on this diagram. Okay. Now, anybody having any questions?
Sir, ORM is the principle of rules and regulations. For that, Hibernate is implementation, right?
Yep, right, sir. Hibernate is following the principles which are given by the ORM.
Okay, okay. Sir, can you please go down the diagram, table entity at that?
Yes.
In that, PID is available, right? Variable PID. That is mapped with the capital PID. So, it is small, it is lowercase, it is uppercase. That's why we are writing at PID.
No, sir. Just I told you that column name. So if it is uppercase and lowercase, no need to write it. It is optional.
Sir, what is the difference between Hibernate and ORM?
Sir, Hibernate is a ORM framework. There is no difference, man. Hibernate itself is a ORM.
Sir, how to use composite primary key?
If your table contains more than one primary key, then it is called composite primary key.
Hello? But how to use it?
Sir, what I need to say. Let me give some time, man. I will explain you everything step by step. Okay. So
Okay.
if you go to a movie, can you expect a climax within first 30 minutes? No, right? You have to wait
No.
3 hours of time, then only will get the climax. Data JPA is a 10 days course. What are the questions people are asking? They are future concepts. Please be patient.
Okay, sir.
Sir, one small doubt. Here at ID at column are using a Java extract persistence annotations, right? Or Hibernate?
Sorry, can you come again?
At ID at column annotations are using Java extract persistence API, right?
Yes, sir. JPA.
Then where Hibernate comes here, that's only I have doubt.
Come to that, sir. Once I start the example, I will tell you all those
Okay,
things.
okay, sure, sure.
Are you guys comfortable with what is entity class, how to map it?
Yes, sir.
Which annotation we need to use, that we will see in the programming part. I will develop a application. I will tell you everything, man.
Sir, one more thing. About this annotation at the rate data means like what it does.
I told that it is a project Lombok annotation to generate setters and getters. Okay. Please, I'm requesting you once again, guys. Go to our YouTube channel. Go to the playlist. You will find Project Lombok tutorial. Please complete these videos today. It will not take more than half an hour to complete. Okay. Project Lombok videos are there. Please complete these videos so that you will understand what is that at the rate data will do. That is not ORM annotation, that is Lombok annotation. What that annotation will do, these videos will explain you. 5 videos are there, every video is 5 minutes. 30 minutes. Within 30 minutes, you will understand what is that at the rate data and why we need to go for at the rate data. Okay? Please.
Yeah, sure. Good morning.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to know that through Spring Data, are we going to call PL SQL functions also? We can do it.
Actually, the data JPA is not meant for that, sir. I will tell you what we can do with the data JPA. I will tell you. Data JPA is not effective. Just I am telling you the basics of the ORM. How a ORM framework is going to work internally, I am explaining that.
Sir, the videos which you have uploaded as a playlist on your Ashok IT channel regarding Spring Data, are these complete playlist or I mean just?
No, sir. It is just in introduction classes. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sir, what is the difference between ORM and data JPA?
Data JPA is also a ORM framework, right? Data JPA not yet started. Tomorrow you will get to know what is data JPA.
And sir, how many parts of JDBC we should know before understanding this?
At least one example, how to integrate, how to communicate with the database using JDBC. At least if you know one example, one application development, that is sufficient.
So tomorrow class is there?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Sir, we will see any example with Hibernate also? Or?
No, sir. I will show you examples on data JPA directly.
Sir, Hibernate framework take care of exceptions?
Yes.
Okay. How, sir? I mean, we need to write any try catch blocks like that.
Yes, it will convert the database exceptions into Hibernate exceptions.
Okay, that's all right. Anyway, we need to handle that, right? So what about
it will take care of transformation, but we need to handle.
Okay, we need to handle, right? So then what about commit? Is going to be auto commit once transaction is completed, or we need to do a manual commit?
It is automated, auto commit mode.
So, but we are writing.
No, hold on. In the JDBC, it is auto commit mode. In the Hibernate, manual commits.
Okay. So, I mean, we know once transaction. What, sir?
Sir, please ask questions related to today's class, guys. Some of you already know that Hibernate. Some of you don't know Hibernate. So I'm starting from the scratch. If you have any question related to today's class, please ask those questions, not the future concepts which are not yet discussed. Okay?
Sir, will you teach generator, sir?
Yes, I will take it.
Okay, sir.
Anybody having any question on this diagram, entity and table? No, if you have no questions, we are good for today. We'll continue tomorrow, sir. Okay, so don't ask the questions which are not yet covered.
Could you please give some point on entity again, if you don't mind?
Entity is a Java class which is mapped to the database table, sir. There is a simple straightforward. The Java class which is mapped to the database table is called as entity class.
Yeah, Ashok, we enrolled for Angular, but we are not getting any videos in the mail.
Yes, sir. Today I will send it, sir. I need to have a discussion with the trainer and I will send you those.
Yeah, actually, last 2 days the network issue is there here. I unable to attend the class, but didn't got any mail from Angular.
Sure, sir.
Please.
Hello, sir. Do I have to register again for Angular 11? I have registered only for gRTP and Spring Boot, or automatically done from your side.
So you can see today class is not there. I think so. Monday is the next session. Link is available here directly. Using this link, you can attend the session directly on Monday. Whatever the last 2-3 classes happened today, I will send you a mail for all the people who belongs to Angular.
Sir, 1 minute. Today is my first class. So from when this class is happening actually?
Sir, send me a message to this number, sir. I will give you the details.
Jan 4.
Okay.
This is the WhatsApp number. Yep.
Okay, I will message you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So today I explained you just what is entity, what is table, how to map it, what is ORM. In tomorrow's session, we will understand what is data JPA. Once we develop first application, then all your doubts will be clarified. Please have some patience.
Yeah, Ashok, tomorrow is 31st. You said some special session you will keep for experienced people. Tomorrow is 31st. You said 1 hour you will conduct for experienced people for doubts.
Yes, sir. Experience. How to do experience
because bank statement and that things are coming.
Sir, we'll conduct it. We'll conduct it, sir. I will plan one day for that. But tomorrow we have a regular class.
Sir, will you see my screen?